Welcome to First Parish in Needham, a Unitarian Universalist congregation of humanists, theists, atheists, agnostics, seekers, and interfaith families. My name is Jody Rooney, she, her. My husband Paul, with our two children, Corvus and Leo, joined First Parish, we're thinking around 12 years ago. After taking a hiatus through the pandemic, we have recently returned. I was on the Religious Exploration Committee and taught for many years. As of late, I'm using my time to help protect our democracy through social action with First Parish and through a local group called Needham Resists. I'll be at social hour at a table and would love to talk about it more with you. You can learn more about all that's happening at First Parish by going to uuneedham.org and signing up for our weekly email newsletter or following us on social media. Our order of service is online at the QR code in your pews and at the website uuneedham.updates.church. Our ushers, greeters, and Zoom hosts are available if you have any questions or accessibility needs. At First Parish, we covenant to live out our shared values of the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Whoever you are, whoever you love, whatever your background or identity, whatever your age or stage, whether you walked in or rolled in, or wherever you're participating from, you are welcome here. I'm proud to introduce and welcome our very special guest, Claire, Karl, B.W. Müller, they, them. Claire is a fifth-generation Germanic settler to Eastern Massachusetts and identifies as a white, middle-class, non-binary, small, fat, neuro-spicy organizer. They work with the white middle-class folks for justice and joined the team at UU Mass Action in 2020. Claire has organized for climate and environmental justice since 2007, and they are coordinator of the statewide climate justice coalition, Mass Power Forward, which they co-founded in 2015, as well as the UU's Mass Action staff lead for the Indigenous Solidarity Team and the Democracy Team. Welcome again to everyone here in the building and online. We are so glad you're here.
As our guest, Claire Karl Müller, lights our chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, I offer these words from Queer Euro-American UU minister, Reverend Gretchen Haley. There is too much beauty in this world to give up on it yet, and it is always too soon to surrender to cynicism. Bring your doubt, your skepticism, your downright confusion, even your bitterness. But in the midst of all these, in the center, wrap your tender fingers around that still bright thread of hope. Feel in your heart that still steady hunger for something more, the vision we glimpse every day in the rising sun across the foothills, the light that spreads across the face of the one we love, the look of knowing all there is to know and still loving life, loving us, just as it is, just as we are. For this hour, we come to celebrate, to praise, to give thanks, to refuse to give up, and to steady ourselves. Keepers of hope, brave builders of this still possible world, come, let us worship together. Our opening hymn, Guide My Feet, is an African-American spiritual included in the early 1900s folk song collections of Black musician and scholar Willis Lawrence James. The metaphor of running this race is inspired by the language and the letters of Paul in the Christian scriptures. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing Guide My Feet. The lyrics are in your orders of service on screen and at number 348 in your gray hymnals.
Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain.
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of a congregation strives to honor with one another and out in the world. Whether you participate in our community online or in the building, we strive to live these promises every day. Please say along with me the words of our parish covenant as in your orders of service and on screen. We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world.
This is the time during our worship service when we share joys and sorrows that are very close to our hearts and to our lives. We have been experimenting with a new way of doing our candles ritual based on congregational feedback to the worship committee. On first Sundays, we've been sharing joys and sorrows before our young people head to their religious exploration opportunities. And on those first Sundays, all are invited to come here to the microphone to share what's on your heart. You can also come up to the candles table at any time to write a candle to place in the book of life or to have me share. And I've received pre-submitted candles at candles@uuneedham.org. This is the last month of this particular candles experiment for now. And the worship committee hopes to hear from you soon about what you think. There's a notice in the bell notes for how to provide feedback, and I believe they'll be at on-site social hour. There's probably someone at virtual social hour as well, if you have thoughts about the ritual of joys and sorrows. And so now I invite you, if you're here in the building and you have something on your heart to share, please come forward.
They say that good news can wait, so I didn't share this earlier. As you may remember, of course, my grandfather passed last Sunday. But the very end of last year, after I came back from Pittsburgh, I was very fortunate that things came together, and Harissa and I were able to legally get married and have a small ceremony. And I want to share this enormous joy with everyone. And of course, thank you, Reverend Katie, for solemnizing.
Jody Rooney again. I just want to put out thoughts and prayers to a friend, Sarah Beth, who was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer about a month ago. She didn't want to know her prognosis, and she is going through treatment, but unfortunately things are not going the way they should be. So we're just sending out all the love we can to her as she moves towards her transition. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Laura Nevitt, they, she pronouns. I have one of my students in one of the other choirs that I work with was diagnosed just last week with leukemia. She's just 12 years old and was immediately admitted to Boston Children's Hospital, where she'll be for the next 30 days at least. And then we'll be going through more treatments for at least a couple of years. They do have strong outcomes from the research based on this kind of treatment, but just be in prayer for and thoughts for their family, and for Tita is her name.
And hello, I'm Reverend Katie, and I won't tell you the whole tale about why it was I was in New York later this week instead of Albuquerque, as I told you I would be last Sunday. I'll talk to you in social hour. But I went to New York from Wednesday to Friday, and I had the great pleasure of visiting my friends and colleagues, Reverend Ashley D. Tarbert and the Reverend Emily D. Tarbert. I shared with you all last May that their baby had arrived very early at 22 and a half weeks. And I was very happy to be able to see little Bean. She's the earliest premature baby to graduate from the NICU at the Alexandra Cohen Center in New York City, and she's now in baby rehab. And she's 13 pounds and like just doing really good, all things considered. So if you could continue to have the Dieterberts in your heart as they move through this transition. She just moved into rehab last week, which was a big deal. New medical team after 250 days in the NICU. And we had no pre-submitted candles this morning, so I simply thank you now for sharing your joys, your sorrows, and for all of those that remain silent in our hearts, and for the prayers of our neighbors near and far. We'll light one final silent candle. May the peace of this sanctuary be felt wherever you are participating from, as we remember that though we worship in different times and places, we are still deeply connected. I invite you now, will you join me in the spirit of prayer? On this first day of Black History Month, I offer you these words adapted from Filipina-American educator and Catholic activist Clarissa Alcantara. Good and gracious God, thank you for the opportunity to come together once again. We know and understand that it is through your grace that all our people's blessings have come forth. It is with awe, wonder, and humility that we ask you to continue to hear our prayers, raise our spirits, and heal our wounds. On this first day of Black History Month in our nation, we pray that with open hearts we can recognize and realize that Black history is part of all of our histories, and that Black history is still being made today and will continue to be made for generations to come. We ask your favor in guiding us so we can one day celebrate Black history in ways that move beyond 1 month and become part of our everyday lives. Open our eyes and hearts so that what we hear and learn this month can become part of our histories and activism moving forward into the days, weeks, years ahead. We pray and uphold the stories and histories of individuals who have been lost to history, but whose lives impacted others and left imprints in small ways. In our prayer, we recognize that these stories and this history may divide us. Help us hear the truth of our history. And today in this sanctuary, we especially lift up the names of those we know, those African Americans who were enslaved in the town of Needham 300 years ago. As has been our practice, we say their names and keep their memories alive. Boston, Homer, Ishmael, Jack, Jenny, Jethro, Jupiter, Phoebe and Phoebe, Primus, Prince, Rose, Sylvia, Terrence, and Violet. We take a moment of quiet in memory of them. Amen. Please remain seated and join in singing our meditative response, "We Would Be One." The lyrics are in your orders of service on screen and at number 318 in your gray hymnals.
Pledge ourselves.
Now is the time in our service when we get to wonder together about what's inside my wonder box. Because wondering is a central part of what it means to be Unitarian Universalist. At the core of our faith tradition lies our call to search together for truth and meaning. All right, so it's been a minute since I've done a wonder box, but you don't get any hints. Do we have any wonderings about what's inside? Yeah. Something happy. I like that. I like that. I like, having happy things in my life. Some form of money. That would make me happy. Yeah. Love and peace. We could all use more love and peace in the world. Anyone who hasn't wondered yet? Okay.
Something that looks like an everyday object, but it has a really deep meaning.
Something that would look an everyday object that has lots of deeper meaning. Yeah. All right. Yeah. A stuffed animal. All right. These are great wonderings. You definitely have not lost your touch. All right. Do we have someone who hasn't ever opened the wonder box who'd like to open the wonder box? Yes. Hand shot right up. All right. Let's find out what's in there.
Within the wonder box lies a clay 4-leaf clover.
Yeah. I don't know what it's made of. It's a paperweight shamrock. Yeah, thank you. A paperweight shamrock. And let me switch microphones. I should have brought my thing down here. It's the first day of February, not March. Yeah. The important thing about the shamrock paperweight is that it's a paperweight, not the shamrock. I couldn't find my less shamrocky paperweights. Well, this paperweights help weigh things down as, wind or just air currents are blowing around. And it reminds me of a story. This is a true story that comes from John Lewis, a great teacher in this nation who died in July of 2020. Many people were sad to lose him and thankful for all that he did to bring about justice in the nation. He'd lived a long, full life asking of himself and asking of all of us to show up for justice, to do what we can and just a little bit more, to make sure that there was more equity in this country. John Lewis grew up in a large family, and he would spend time with his aunts and uncles, with siblings and cousins. There were many children in the neighborhood, and they would all play together. Congressman Lewis tells about a time when he was playing outside his Aunt Sevna's house with about 14 other children when a big storm, arrived. A kind of storm that made him very afraid. So I'm going to tell this story from his perspective. So when I say I, it really means John Lewis. Aunt Sevna was the only adult around, and as the sky blackened and the wind grew stronger, she herded us all inside. Her house was not the biggest place around, and it seemed even smaller with so many children squeezed inside. Small and surprisingly quiet. All of the shouting and laughter that had been going on earlier outside had stopped. The wind was howling now, and the house was starting to shake. We were scared. Aunt Sevna was scared. And then it got worse. The house was beginning to sway. The wood plank flooring beneath us began to bend, and then a corner of the room started lifting up. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. None of us could. This storm was actually pulling the house toward the sky, with us inside it. That was when Ansevna told us to clasp hands. Line up and hold hands, she said, and we did as we were told. Then she had us walk as a group towards the corner of the room that was rising. From the kitchen to the front of the house, we walked, the wind screaming outside, sheets of rain beating on the tin roof. Then we walked back in the other direction as the other end of the house began to lift. And so it went back and forth, 15 children walking with the wind, holding that trembling house down with the weight of our small bodies. Can you imagine what it was like to be inside that house, afraid it might fall apart from the destructive force of the wind and rain? Me, John Newhall, I remember being afraid when my house swayed in the wind growing up, and I still get nervous when it happens, but I've never had a corner of my house lift. When John Lewis was much older, he was writing down the story of his whole astounding life, and he wrote these words. More than half a century has passed since that day, and it has struck me more than once over those many years that our society is not unlike the children in that house, rocked again and again by the winds of one storm or another, the walls around us seeming at times as if they might fly apart. It seemed that way in the 1960s at the height of the civil rights movement, when America itself felt as if it might burst at the seams. So much tension, so many storms. But the people of conscience never left the house. They never ran away. They stayed. They came together and they did the best they could, clasping hands and moving towards the corner of the house that was the weakest. And then another corner would lift and we would go there. And eventually, inevitably, the storm would settle and the house would still stand. But we knew another storm would come. Maybe in Minneapolis. And then we would, that's me talking. But then another storm would come, and we would have to do it all over again. And we did, and we still do. All of us, you and I, children holding hands, walking with the wind. Thank you for listening to not my story, but Representative John Lewis's story. And now, as our youngest and their teachers head off to their religious exploration programming, please join in singing Long Time Son. The words will appear on your screens.
This congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. This is the time in our service when we, the modern stewards of the church, offer what we can to build and sustain the congregation and the world we envision. For this special Sunday, when we are honored to have Karl Müller preach, our entire offering collection will be donated to UU Mass Action. Founded in 2006, UU Mass Action was the first statewide UU advocacy collaborative in the United States. With the power of 142 UU congregations and 20,000 UU-based staters, UU Mass Action has co-organized and joined many successful legislative campaigns over the past 20 years. for raising the minimum wage, trans public accommodations protections, paid family and medical leave, criminal law and prison reform, and many environmental justice bills. Through legislative advocacy and public witness, UU Mass Action continues to work for climate justice, decarceration, immigrant justice, economic and housing justice, death with dignity, and Indigenous rights. You can learn more at uumassaction.org or from Claire Karl themselves today at On-Site Social Hour. To donate to today's offering, you can use one of 3 different methods as described in detail in your orders of service. You can use text to give, donate through our website, drop a check or cash into the collection plate, or mail a check to First Parish. Remember, whichever way you donate, specify whether your donation is meant for the plate collection or for your annual pledge. And if this is one of your first visits to First Parish, we encourage you to fill out a yellow card from your pew back to drop into the collection plate, or fill out our online visitors form at uuneedham.updates.church so we know how to be in touch. And our flowers this morning are dedicated by our member Lynn Rockless in loving memory of her parents, Ben and Eleanor Rockless. Thank you for everything you are able to give to help support and sustain this congregation and the vital work of our community partners. May the ushers please come forward.
This morning's reading is from author, activist, and farmer Wendell Berry from his 1969 collection of essays against the Vietnam War. He says, "Wars have never made peace, or preserved it, or fostered its ideals. To have peace, you must make peace with your enemy. To make peace only with your friends is to avoid the issue, and to permit a great principle to become absurd. Far from making peace, wars invariably serve as classrooms and laboratories where men and techniques and states of mind are prepared for the next war. Authentic peace is no more passive than war. Like war, it calls for discipline and intelligence and strength of character, though it calls also for higher principles and aims. If we are serious about peace, then we must work for it, ardently, seriously, continuously, carefully, and bravely as we have ever prepared for war." Good morning. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here and part of your service. It's very clear that you are a wonderful community. And this morning, I want to speak about the state of our democracy. It's in a rough time, to put it mildly. But to get into it, I do want to share a little bit about me and how I relate to this moment. I'm the daughter of 2 public school teachers from the South Shore, though my dad grew up in Needham. Fun fact. But my parents were split. For my entire childhood, they would joke about, do we really need to go vote? Because we're going to cancel each other out. I remember asking my brother when I was in 5th grade and I'd started to kind of understand this Democrat-Republican thing. And knowing that I had one of each for parents, I said to my brother, which one am I? Like, what's going on? And he looked at me and thought for a moment and said, I think you're probably a Democrat. But the truth is, I'm very grateful because I was really raised in a setting that allowed for respectful discourse and to know that there are valuable contributions from many different directions that all trace back to love. And so, when our nation democratically elected an authoritarian for the 2nd time, I was kind of heartbroken. But I don't know what your reaction to that kind of crisis is. They vary depending on who you are. I'm the kind of person who wakes up the next morning and is like, let's go. What are we doing? What's the plan? I'm on. We ride at dawn. That's my energy. It's not for everybody. But this time around, I will admit, I have had to really level up and be able to make sure that my cup is full before I try and pour out that love, so that I'm not pouring from empty, because it's really intense out there. In search for grounding and understanding of how did we get here, this new accelerated phase of the American empire, I find myself putting my mind towards the native people of this land for guidance, for grounding, for hope. They have, after all, been thinking about and trying to heal the American empire for centuries. And I find myself returning over and over to a song by Lila June. If you don't know Lila June, she's an indigenous musician, scholar, community organizer of Dene, Cheyenne, and European lineages. And she does a spoken intro with these words. In our old societies, The greatest honor and bravery was bestowed to those who gave their lives, not those who took lives. In what ways might we give our lives to this war? In what ways might we dedicate our time and energy to the children, the women, the elders? Yes, it is a battle of sorts, but not one of physical might. No, this is a battle of spiritual fortitude, where the deepest love and compassion are the only source of true and lasting victory. There will be no winning in a game where even one person loses. The only victory comes from lifting up all beings, all relations, and the only weapons we may use are truth, faith, and love. Gets me every time. There's so much in these 9 sentences that I could chew on day after day. The first is that energetic difference she makes between giving your life versus taking. As mentioned in my bio, I come from a climate organizing background before coming to UU Mass Action. And in the climate world, I was fighting the chemical industry, I was fighting the oil companies, the gas companies. These days, we add to that list fighting the billionaires, the oligarchs, the would-be kings. It's a little exhausting, I'll be honest, to have this kind of ongoing fighting stance. We gotta fight, 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 fight. And I've asked myself, after hearing this and in other times, what would it be like if we took a different stance? If we took a healing, loving orientation? I remember noticing this kind of obsessive direction of we're gonna fight this and we're gonna fight this, especially during the height of the pandemic, when we said all over America, we're gonna fight COVID. And I was like, this is a literal illness. Like, could we say we're gonna heal COVID? Could we do that? Or, we can't do that in America. We gotta be intense all the time. If we had done that, would we be less collectively traumatized now? What would it look like to say, we're working to heal the climate? We're working to heal the oil companies, the gas companies of their greed, profit, sickness. Or healing the billionaires and oligarchs and would-be kings of their power, sickness. Maybe that's what trauma-informed activism looks like. It reminds me of the story of the Wendigo. If you've never heard of the Wendigo is a evil spirit originating from Algonquin culture, sort of northeast and midwest of this nation. And the Wendigo is described most often as a malevolent spirit who may possess human beings. And when you are possessed by the Wendigo, you have feelings of insatiable hunger. You just gotta eat and eat and eat, even eat humans. I have heard it said that when European settlers, some of whom are my ancestors, came to Turtle Island, some of the natives wondered, are these people possessed by a Wendigo? Are they okay? No, they were not okay. Last year around this time, I went down to the federal building in downtown. It was one of the kind of early, organic, decentralized protests. Elon Musk was trying to steal all of our data, and people were angry, looking for something to do. And as I stood amongst this crowd kind of milling about, nobody was running it, someone spontaneously started chanting, "Lock him up, lock him up." And more people joined along. And my heart sank a little bit. I thought, is that what we are? Just revengey, do to them what they did to us? And I secretly thought to myself, what would happen if I tried to start a chant that was like, mandatory therapy, mandatory therapy? Like, would people chime in or just look at me really weird? I just want to be clear, mandatory therapy has been used in not great ways against gay people, Native people, so let's be careful about that, but I think you get my point. Lila June goes on to say, there will be no winning in a game where even one loses. The only victory comes from lifting up all beings, all relations. Yikes. That's a really tall order. Everybody? Every single one of us? You know, there's one of those buzzwords on the left, I don't know if you've heard it, where we talk about collective liberation. But I don't know how often we really sit down and think about what that actually means. That everybody means everybody. That includes the dictators, the ICE agents, the oppressors, the abusers. Like, not even one person, relation is left behind. How gorgeous to aim for that. Now, obviously, not everybody is on the same team working towards that vision. I sometimes think of us as team democracy. Raise your hand if you're on team democracy. It's not a trick question, that's everybody. So author and scholar Sir John Glubb, he studied 13 empires. He looked at the Middle East, he looked at Asia, he looked at Europe, and he saw a startling pattern of decline of empire after 250 years. Now, this July 4th is the 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence. So it's a little eerie. He describes 6 stages of empire, and the last one, where we're really in decline, is called the Age of Decadence. And in this age, wealth and power have led to petty and negative behaviors. There's a prevalence of narcissism, consumerism, materialism, fanaticism, a celebrity culture that worships athletes and actors. Sound familiar, anyone? So this moment that we're in, it's happened before. Many, many times. Empires have risen and fallen throughout history. It's new and not new. And there's a deep possibility for transformation to something truly liberatory. She says, yes, this is a battle of sorts, but not one of physical might. No, this is a battle of spiritual fortitude. That part always brings to mind Bayard Rustin, another civil rights leader, along with John Lewis that we heard about. He worked for nonviolence and was a principal organizer of the March on Washington. He's also a gay black man who often is held back so as not to. Martin Luther King asked him to kind of stay behind the scenes because of homophobia in the movement. But he has this gorgeous quote that's literally on the wall of my office. He says, "Loving your enemy is manifest in putting your arms not around the man, but around the social situation to take power from those who misuse it, at which point they and their children can become human too." When I think about ICE agents in Minneapolis, in Massachusetts, I think about how I'm not particularly ready to put my arms around them individually, but I am deeply dedicated to putting our arms around the social situation to take power from the Trump administration, from the ICE agents, so that they can no longer harm our community. And at that point, they will become more human too. And finally, my favorite part. Lila June closes with the words, "The only weapons we may use are truth, faith, and love." There are so many ways to be part of the movement for our democracy right now. Not all of them have to be super visible, standing at the standout, being an ICE verifier with a whistle. It can also mean bringing joy through singing at a Sunday worship. Any way that you are bringing more truth, faith, and love into this world is part of the resistance. You can, of course, also join a team at UU Mass Action, which I have no doubt is in alignment with Needham Resists. And we'll have interest cards at our social hour if you want to hear more. But long story short, we ride at dawn, so pick your weapon of choice. Thank you.
Claire, Karl, and to our 3 guest musicians and singers today, thank you all so much for your contributions to this service. You're also very inspiring. Thank you. As we near the close of our service, let me highlight for all of you some of what's coming up soon at First Parish. All are welcome at our social hour after the postlude, both online and on site. And if you're on site and a relative newcomer and you would like for people to come talk with you, please take one of the very large red mugs at social hour. That's what you can have, Claire, Karl. I know people, you want to talk to people. You'll also find Claire, Karl, Jody Rooney, and other representatives of our Social Action Forum who are eager to share and discuss ideas for action in these times, particularly for responding to the ongoing ICE crisis, including some urgent legislative advocacy both at the state and federal levels. I believe you'll also find members of the worship committee eager to talk with you about our experiments in sharing joys and sorrows, and I believe yeah, he's out there, isn't he? And you'll find our budget drive team eager to speak with you about supporting First Parish in Needham with a financial pledge for the 2026-2027 congregational year. And this afternoon, you have a couple of wonderful opportunities to listen to music. At 3 p.m. at St. Susanna Parish in Dedham, Hearts Together is performing a fundraising concert for humanitarian relief in Palestine. And right here at First Parish, in this very room at 4 p.m., all are welcome to hear the full Elizabeth Duig To the Fore concert from Caroline and from Chris. We're very excited. So glad that you all postponed it from last week. I actually texted the staff group chat after service, and I was like, oh, I do hate to be wrong, but the Carolinians were correct. It was very snowy at the end of service. It made sense they did not come in from Boston. I was like, oh, this Carolina people. No, it was very snowy. Coming up this week, we have our weekly groups convening, Wednesday Writers Escapes and Yoga, Thursday Vespers, Friday Creative Escapes. And please remember that Bob Stetson's memorial service is this Saturday the 7th at 10 a.m. here at First Parish. And next Sunday the 8th, our youth group hopes you'll come hungry for their Super Bowl Sunday service trip fundraiser at social hour before the big game in the evening. You can find details about all of our upcoming events by subscribing to the e-newsletter, the Bell Notes, which you can also find in our online order of service at uuneedham.updates.church. We always extinguish our chalice with words promising to carry its flame in our hearts until we are together again. Please join me from home or here in the building in saying those words written by UU Minister Reverend Elizabeth Selly Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing hymn, One More Step, was written for the UU Peace Network by Euro-Canadian UU singer-songwriter Joyce Poley. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing One More Step. The lyrics are in your orders of service on screen and at number 168 in your gray hymnals.
One
There is too much hardship in this world to not find joy every day. There's too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There's too much pain in this world to not heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every